Every practice submits claims. Far fewer have a system for what happens next. A claim gets sent, and then it's on someone to notice if it never gets paid, to catch a denial before the appeal window closes, to chase the ones that quietly age out. When that job depends on a busy human remembering, money leaks. Not because anyone did anything wrong, but because it's nobody's explicit job at the exact moment it matters. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how to build a workflow that checks every open claim on its own, flags what's closest to a deadline first, explains why a claim denied in plain English, and drafts the appeal, while a person still approves everyone before it goes anywhere. Nothing gets submitted to a payer automatically. It's triage and drafting, not auto-filing. Let's name what actually goes wrong, because it usually isn't that your billing is bad. It's that follow-up falls through the cracks in 3 predictable ways. The first leak is the claim that's just aging. It went out, nothing came back, and no one noticed. Every payer has a timely filing window, the amount of time you have to get a claim in before they'll refuse it permanently. A claim that sits unwatched can quietly cross that line, and once it does, that money is simply gone. No appeal fixes a claim that was never followed up in time. The second leak is the denial that sits unworked. A denial isn't a no, it's a not like this. Most denials can be appealed or corrected and paid, but they land as a cryptic code on a remittance. They pile up, and there's a separate deadline, the appeal window, ticking on each one. Miss it, and an appealable denial becomes a write-off. The third leak is quieter. It's nobody's job. Follow-up is the task that gets dropped first when the front desk is slammed, because there's no trigger forcing it and no one owns it by name. So it happens when someone remembers to the claims they happen to see. All 3 are the same kind of problem. They depend on a busy person doing a deadline-sensitive task at exactly the right moment, over and over. That's precisely the kind of work you can hand to a workflow, as long as a person still approves anything that goes out in your name. Let me be precise about what we're building, because in billing, the difference between helpful and dangerous is who hits send. This is 3 parts that share one rule. The machine finds the work and drafts the response. A person approves before anything is treated as ready to file. The first part finds the work. Every evening, the workflow reads your whole claims register, not a list someone remembered to make, every open claim, and sorts each one into a bucket. A denial that needs an appeal, a claim that's aged unpaid past a threshold, or one where a deadline is closing in the next few days. Then it ranks them, so the claim about to miss its window is at the top of the pile, not buried. The second part explains and drafts. You give the AI a short glossary of the denial codes you actually see. And that's a spot you tune to your own practice, because the codes a dental office fights are not the ones a family medicine clinic fights. For each flagged claim, the AI uses that glossary to turn the denial code into plain English. Here's why this denied, here's the next step. And it drafts the actual appeal or corrected claim language, so your staff aren't sitting there decoding billing codes from a manual. The third part is the rule that matters most. Before anything counts as ready to file, the drafted appeal goes to your biller with 2 buttons, approve or send back for edits. The workflow stops and waits for a human. And to be clear about the boundary, this never touches a payer directly. It doesn't submit claims, it doesn't file appeals. It surfaces the work, drafts the words, and hands them to a person. Triage and draft, not auto-submit. That's the line that keeps this safe to point at your revenue. Let's build it. Same setup as the other videos on this channel. N8N for the workflow, mock data only. No real patient or payer information anywhere in this demo. New to N8N? There's a full setup walkthrough linked in the description. Start there, then come back. The first section finds the work and it runs on a schedule. Every evening after the day winds down. It reads the entire claims register, then pulls a second table, the payer rules, the timely filing and appeal windows for each payer. A code step joins them and classifies every open claim. Watch 6 claims. Priya Anand's United claim was denied, and her appeal window closes in 3 days. So it's tagged deadline soon and sorted straight to the top, because a closing deadline is the most expensive thing to miss. Avery Holt's Aetna claim was denied on an authorization code, still well inside the window. Tagged denied, needs an appeal. Sam Delgado's claim was denied on a different code, missing information, also flagged. Marcus Reed's claim was submitted 34 days ago and nothing's come back. That's tagged aging unpaid, the silent slippage this whole workflow exists to catch. And then 2, the workflow deliberately drops. Daniel's claim is already paid, and Lena's is resolved. No busy work, no retouching closed claims. Notice the ordering isn't a guess. The code sorts by urgency first, and then by soonest deadline, so the claim about to miss its window is always at the top. And none of these buckets are the AI's opinion. They're plain conditions you write and can see sitting right in the workflow. Section 2 is where a cryptic denial becomes something a person can actually act on. For each flagged claim, the workflow first builds a brief, the patient, the payer, the procedure and amount, the denial code, and how many days are left on the deadline. Then the AI does 2 things. First, it decodes. A denial code like CO197 means the payer says there was no prior authorization on file. CO16 means the claim is missing information and needs to be corrected and resubmitted. This glossary lives right here in the workflow, and it's yours to edit. You load in the codes your specialty actually sees. So a dental practice and a family medicine clinic each get explanations tuned to their own denials. Instead of your biller looking up CARC codes in a manual, the claim arrives already translated. Here's what the payer is actually saying, and here's the next step. Second, it drafts the response. For Priya's authorization denial, it writes an actual appeal letter, referencing the claim, the date of service, and the payer's own reasoning, signed with the practice's block, ready for a human to read. For Sam's missing information denial, the recommended step is different. Correct and resubmit, not appeal. And the draft reflects that. The AI isn't guessing a generic template, it reads the specific code and writes the response that fits it. One thing worth pointing out under the hood, the draft comes back as structured data. The plain English explanation, the next step, and the appeal text as separate predictable fields. So the rest of the workflow can route it cleanly. And still, nothing has left the building. This is a draft sitting in the workflow, waiting for a person. Section 3 is the whole point of the video. The draft doesn't get filed until a person says so. The top priority claim, Priya's, the one with the deadline 3 days out, goes to the biller as an email. It carries the plain English explanation and the full drafted appeal with 2 buttons, approve or decline. And then the workflow literally stops, it sends and waits. Nothing moves until a human clicks. Watch both outcomes. When the biller approves, the workflow flips that claims route to appeal ready, records what action was taken, and stamps when it was handled. So it's queued for a person to file with a clean audit trail behind it. When the biller declines instead, say the appeal needs a stronger clinical justification, the claim is flagged needs edit and goes back to the biller. Nothing is ever treated as ready to file on the AI's say-so. 2 things to notice. The gate runs on the highest priority claim first, the one closest to its deadline. So the most time-sensitive appeal is the one a human sees right away. And that status flip is what makes this safe to run every single night. Once a claim is appeal ready or needs edit, tomorrow's sweep doesn't resurface it. The workflow chases relentlessly, but it never nags and it never files on its own. The AI found the claim and wrote the appeal. The person decides. Let's close the loop on what keeps this safe, because a claims workflow touches money and deadlines, and that's exactly where an overeager automation gets you in trouble. Start with the boundary that matters most. This never submits anything to a payer. It doesn't file claims, it doesn't send appeals into a portal, it doesn't touch your clearinghouse. It reads your register, drafts the response, and stops. Every appeal is approved by a human before it's even considered ready to file, and the actual filing stays in your billing system done by your team. The workflow's job is to make sure the right claim, with a good draft, lands in front of a person before its deadline, not to be the person. Second, the deadlines are data, not judgment. The workflow surfaces that a window is closing. It doesn't decide whether a claim has merit or how to argue the medicine. Those buckets, denied, aging, deadline soon, are plain rules you can read and change. The AI helps you write faster. It doesn't get a vote on clinical or coding decisions. And one honest note on data. This demo runs entirely on mock claims, so there's no protected health information in it. A real claims workflow connects to your actual billing data and your payers, so a live deployment needs the compliant path, the right hosting, a signed business associate agreement, the whole setup. That's the part most practices get wrong, and it's exactly the part we handle for you. I've packaged this whole workflow as a free download, the importable N8N file and the ready-to-use denial tracking sheet with all 4 tabs set up: your claims register, the payer rules, patient records, and the work log. The link's in the description. Grab it and you've got the skeleton of your own claims follow-up engine. If you'd rather have it built and wired into your real billing data and your practice's inbox instead of assembling it yourself, you can book a working session on that same page. Either way, subscribe. I break down one of these practice automations in every video, and if you'd rather build on a platform that's HIPAA compliant out of the box, I use Caragon. Link in the description. Quick disclosure, they're an affiliate partner, so that link supports the channel. See you in the next one.